Hi, I'm Nick Marek. I'm currently working for the Office of Information Security at Penn State University. I'm a cybersecurity engineer. I work with password management systems and password security. I've been working in IT for over 20 years. IT security is a focus. Started out with personal computers, then I moved on to business systems, retail sales, government contracting, warehousing, industrial manufacturing. I've worked in a lot of different industries. I want to start off with a statistic that's a little staggering and we'll get you thinking. So in 2017, Google did some research and they found out over a 1 year period that 3.3 billion with a B, 3.3 billion passwords were exposed online through security breaches. Oh, a security breach. That is when a company is hacked and then the credentials for their users, the usernames and passwords, are leaked online. They found another 12 million on top of that 3.3 billion that were leaked through phishing. So that's where you receive an email and they trick you into logging into a fake website and giving up your username and password. So 3.3 billion, another 12 million, and then they found there was hundreds of thousands stolen through viruses and other methods. But that's crazy. That's a huge amount of passwords that are just being dumped on the internet every year. So today we're going to talk about password reuse. And password reuse is when you're using the same password across multiple different systems and not using unique passwords every time that you need to create a new account. But mainly, why are we doing this and what can we do to help prevent it? So the two main reasons that I've seen through the years and the research indicates of why we're doing this is passwords are hard to remember. The second reason is they're not always accessible. So we'll do things like write them down so that way we don't have access to them quickly. But let's start off with that first one. Passwords are hard to remember. Why are they hard to remember? Well, 2019, a company called LastPass, which does password management solutions, really big company in the password management. They did a study and found that business users are managing about 191, almost 200 accounts, 191 accounts. The average business user has 191 accounts to manage. It's an amazing amount of accounts. But they also found out that they're using the same passwords on their personal accounts as they are their business accounts. So now it's even worse where we're putting a third party, our employer, into the mix with our personal life and the security around our personal accounts. So then in 2018, I guess a year later, Dark Reading did a survey that showed the average person reuses their account passwords 14 times. And I would argue that it's probably more than that, but they have forgotten. The people they surveyed probably forgot about accounts they created 5 years ago that they were still using that same password for. They probably thought about 14 accounts they're using today that are using those passwords. So why are they so hard to remember? Well, for people like me, people that are setting the requirements, we know that complex passwords are more secure. So we set requirements like they need to be this long, they have to have this many letters, numbers, symbols, whatever. But then we end up coming up with bad passwords. And then people across the world are all using these same bad passwords. So now the bad guys know what passwords to use. So that's what we do. We come up with one really great password, or maybe it's not one of the ones that are the common ones. Maybe we come up with our own unique password or something we think is unique. And it's great. It fits all the requirements. It works everywhere we want it to work. So we use it everywhere. 14 times or more, we're using the same password. So that's just not good news, because now what's happening is that password, if it gets hacked, it can be used to log into many other sites. And the hackers have tools that will just check to see, do you have a Bank of America account? Do you have an eBay account? Do you have a PayPal account? And then they get a report that says, hey, here's Nick's username and password, and here's all the other sites that also works on. Pretty scary stuff. So what's the second reason that we're using the same password that I've seen is because they're just too hard to get to when you need them. So people end up, they'll write them down, but then that's inconvenient because you might be at your financial advisor and you need to log into a system and look at something, but the password's at home, or you're getting your taxes done and you need to log in. You can't, so you make it the same. That way it's convenient for you. So not only is it easy to remember, but it's also convenient because it's available across many different systems without needing to retrieve it somehow. So like I said earlier, the hackers know this, they're taking advantage of this, and for both reasons, it's bad. Writing down passwords is a great way to store them. I recommend it. It's just inconvenient when you're not at home or you're not near them. You'll still want to lock them up, store them in a drawer, a cabinet, a safe, whatever. You need to keep those locked up. But there's a better solution. There is an answer, and it's pretty good. Some people don't trust it. Take it how you will. But there's things called password managers. So these password managers are able to be an online encrypted storage where they keep track of your usernames and passwords for you. They check to make sure that they're complex, they're unique, you're not reusing them, and then you don't need to remember them. You remember one really strong password and you use a second factor authentication. So that means maybe you'll log into the site with your username and password, but then you'll also get a text message that says, hey, is this really you logging in? Because hopefully only you are the one that has your cell phone and has that code at that time. So then when you go to websites, this software like LastPass, 1Password is another company, RoboForm is another popular one. They'll put your passwords in for you. You don't need to remember them. They'll make them up for you. They can be very complex. And they also have apps on the phone. So you can log into other apps, websites, whatever it might be on your phone through that same system. So there is a solution. I highly recommend you check into the thing called a password manager. Okay, so we've talked about why it's important to have unique passwords and why it's hard, because they're difficult to remember and because they're hard for us to access. So those are the reasons why we're doing this. And then I want to leave you with one task. I'm just going to ask you to do one thing for me. And there's a website. I'm going to put the link right up here. It's called Have I Been Pwned? And pwned is a hacker slang for taken over, taking control of. It's being owned. So you go to this website and you punch in your email address, and it will give you a list of sites that it has in its database that have been hacked. And you might be surprised to see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 sites that you use have been compromised and your credentials are out there on the internet. And just remember now, if you're using those same passwords other places, those accounts are essentially compromised too. Have a great day. Thanks.